Okay, so in goal, Man City had Ederson. In the back four, Zinchenko, Laporte, Stones and Walker. In midfield, Gundogan, Fernandinho and De Bruyne. And up front, Sterling, Aguero and Bernardo Silva. Chelsea started with Kepa in goal, Azpilicueta, Rudiger, Luiz and Alonso. In midfield, Kante, Jorginho and Barkley. And up front, Pedro, Higuain and Hazard. Okay, so if we just have a look at the pressing from Chelsea, they tried to press quite high in the first few minutes of the game. When the ball was at one of the centre-backs, it was normally on this side Barkley who would go to press, leaving Higuain to cover the pass into Fernandinho and also to press the goalkeeper and to press across the other side as well. The problem for Higuain is that in this area he was normally left 4 against 1 or 4 against 2 when one of the midfielders came in. The wingers, Hazard and Pedro, didn't often come into this area. They stayed back and allowed the pressing from Kante and from Barkley, and this meant that they were always in numerical inferiority in this section. There always seemed a bit of doubt with Barkley over who he should press and when he should press, and also the pressing was just slow, added to the fact that Man City was so confident on the ball with their goalkeeper and with their centre-backs opening really wide that it was really difficult for Chelsea to stop Man City from just switching the play onto the opposite side, and it happened many times and Chelsea's press got broken quite easily. Okay, so during the first minutes of the match, Chelsea pressed really high, trying to prevent Man City from playing out. Here I just highlight the position of the two Man City fullbacks, really open, really high. The two centre-backs and the goalkeeper providing superiority with the help of Fernandinho. There we can see Higuain in the middle of their triangle, and it's quite easy for City to play out, even though Chelsea are pressed high with so many players in the opposition half. When the ball comes to the other centre-back, we can see that there's 6 Chelsea players in their half, and on this occasion City couldn't play out. With the score already 2-0, we can see here another example of Chelsea pushing high up the pitch, trying to press. The ball comes into Aguero here from the fullback, and at this moment here, Chelsea have got superiority. They've got 5 players in and around Aguero, but when the ball comes into him, they're not pressing hard enough. They need to be getting a lot closer and giving the Chelsea player who's come in to press Aguero a lot more help. Okay, so they should be pressing in here, but not just pressing, they should also be blocking off the lines of pass, preventing these passes coming out from Aguero to come back. Higuain, who I've shown at the top of the screen, he needs to be coming in as well to help prevent those passes coming back. This ball should not come out of this area. Aguero even takes a bad touch, but still manages to get it back into the fullback. Okay, so that's the pass he's given back to the fullback. Fullback's now just going to play it back to a centre-back, and they're just going to switch the play really easily and break that press. Okay, instead of playing the ball straight across the other centre-back, he even has the cheek to play a little pass in between Higuain and Kante. It's so easy, and all this has happened because they didn't press Aguero when they had the opportunity, when they had a 5 against 1 situation in that small area. They needed to be a lot more aggressive. Now he's just going to play that ball into there, and he's going to switch it across to the other centre-back. Okay, so when it comes into the other centre-back, because there was no pressure on the ball, he was able to bring the ball further forward, and now he's just going to play the ball into Walker. We can see there that all of the Chelsea players have had to shift across, a physical exertion that didn't need to be produced if they have pressured properly on the other side of the pitch. Here, Hazard has maintained his position, preventing the passes coming inside their system, and then he has to go across and press the fullback when it arrives. Okay, so Walker just controls the ball, gives it back into his centre-back, and then they're able to switch the play again. Here, Higuain's going to press, and then if we just highlight the midfield triangle there, it's now the responsibility of Kante, according to Sarri's pressing mechanisms, to jump out and press this centre-back when the ball arrives. For me, it would be a lot better if Pedro was further forward in this position here, so that he could then jump out and press the centre-back and force the play backwards. But that's not the way that Sarri wants to press. He likes to press with his midfielders. I would prefer to press with my wingers, get the wingers high so that if you were to win the possession back, you've got your attacking players in forward positions ready to mount a counter-attack. That's not what they do, And here Laporte has got loads of time because Kante's decided that he's not going to jump out the 20 metres to press. He has time to pick his head up and switch the play onto the opposite side of the pitch. Man City had the ball in the middle of the pitch and Chelsea then went to press. Here I'm just highlighting as if the ball is it with this centre-back. Higuain was responsible for blocking this pass here into Fernandinho. If Higuain comes into press, obviously now the other centre-back has got a lot of space on that side, which I'm just going to highlight here. So when the ball would then move back across into this centre-back, it would then be the responsibility of Kante to come out and press. These were long distances for Kante and Barkley to come out and press. Quite often they didn't arrive in time. They were too far away from the men when they're arriving for pressing. Even when they did arrive early or in time, when they were given another pass, the next player was always a little bit slow. There was a real lack of aggressiveness in the Chelsea pressing. Not only because Man City's positioning on the pitch was superior to Chelsea's in the way that they were playing out from the back, but just it was clear that there was a lack of aggression and a lack of unity and understanding with the pressing. This is a similar example of the press. Here they play the ball back into the centre-back and it's Barkley who has to go out and press. Barkley, of course, arrives late. The centre-back's got time to play the ball out into the full-back, and the full-back is then going to play the ball out wide into Bernardo Silva. Now when the ball comes into Bernardo Silva, this is the painful thing for Chelsea, is they should be able to press in here. But instead they just play a ball inside into De Bruyne, he gives it back into Bernardo Silva, and Bernardo Silva plays it straight back into where it's come from. Okay, so the ball's come back from Walker into the centre-back, and again I highlight the three players, the forward and the two midfielders, Kante and Barkley. Okay, so they're just going to switch the ball around again. Higuain goes to press a centre-back and Kante is responsible for pressing the other centre-back. Okay, so this time Kante does come out, but he doesn't get close enough, so he decides to halt his press and instead try and block the pass coming inside in between the lines. Okay, so he's unable to prevent that pass coming in, and I'm just highlighting the defensive shape here from Chelsea and the fact that Agüero's moved in at the very last second into that space to receive the pass. I'm sure Sarri would have mentioned before the game, don't let Agüero come into these areas and receive the ball in turn. However, he did it on numerous occasions. Here he's able to drive inside, past Rudiger, and create trouble. Okay, so he's got past Rudiger, and now Barkley is trying to catch him up. For me, in this position here, Barkley needs to take one for the team. What you can't do is have your centre-back come out and potentially get a yellow card when you're already 2-0 down in the first 20 minutes of the game. However, Luis, he has to come out and he ends up shoulder barging Agüero and almost getting a yellow card. The referee let him get away with it. Here we can see Luis putting in the shoulder and getting quite lucky not to be booked. This is the final pressing example which I'm going to show, and probably the most embarrassing, to be honest. I'm going to pause the video every time that a Man City player receives the ball and show the distance away which the Chelsea player is from pressing. Okay, so first one receives the ball, Higuain's nowhere near him with the press. The ball went back to the goalkeeper, now into Fernandinho, and look at Barkley, he's still 2 or 3 yards away from Fernandinho. When the ball arrives at Stones, again, Barkley's about 10 yards away from him. When the ball comes to the other centre-back, remember I said it's Kante's responsibility for pressing the other centre-back when the ball comes across. He's nowhere near, so he doesn't even jump out and press. This is the moment when Laporte brings the ball forward and Kante now decides that he has to go to press. They switch the ball across to Stones, and again, Higuain 10 to 15 yards away from the press. Again, a circulation to the other centre-back. Again, Kante 10 to 15 metres away from the press. Ball from Laporte into De Bruyne in the middle of the pitch. Jorginho 2 metres away from the press. Ball comes into Walker, and again, Jorginho 2 or 3 metres away from the press. But not only that, it's a shame I can't show you the video because it's so slow going to close them down. It was almost walking. Again, ball back from Walker into Stones. Look at the distance again, which Higuain is from the press, 5-7 metres away. Ball comes into Fernandinho, and he's got acres of space to just turn and switch the ball on the other side. And if you just check it, Higuain at the bottom of the circle there, this is the moment that Higuain became fed up with pressing. No cohesion with the press, and it was really poor from Chelsea and the usual brilliance from Man City. Okay, we'll have a quick look at the Man City press and the difference. Similar to Chelsea in the fact that the centre forward Aguero was pressing one centre back and the midfielder De Bruyne was responsible for pressing the other centre back. Here Sterling is deep, ready to press the fullback as well as keeping his eye on Kante. Gundogan is responsible for Jorginho, and Bernardo da Silva has come inside and he's close into Ross Barkley. Okay, so when the ball's played out into the fullback, the ball hasn't arrived yet, and look at how close Bernardo Silva is. So much more intensive with the pressing, and straight away they win the ball back. The mistake forced by the press. Okay, so just highlight the three forwards from Man City. Here when the ball gets switched wide, Aguero goes into press, same as Gundogan. When the ball arrives at Rudiger, Gundogan is pressing in quickly. He's only 3 or 4 metres away, and now when the ball arrives at the Chelsea fullback, again highlighting the three forwards, and now I'm going to highlight the two midfielders. Both the midfielders on that side pressing in. When it was Chelsea, only one of them would go in, along with the centre forward. However, Man City keep their centre forward in the central position here, and their winger comes really far in, that's Bernardo Silva with Ross Barkley. At this point here, when the ball comes into Jorginho, look at the amount of Man City players in and around them. 3 players coming in to press and close them down. There weren't many options for the fullback. He could either play it into Jorginho, which he did, could try and play it into the fullback or into Kante, but look at the Man City players' positioning. There wasn't a lot of space for them. And if they'd have played it backwards, look at the positioning from the Man City players. Immediately, one player would be able to go out and press Rudiger, and Aguero in the central position would be able to go and press Luis. If they were to win the ball back in these positions, you've got Aguero in front of goal with a goal scoring opportunity, which is almost what happened. Okay, so have a quick look at the Chelsea attack and the Man City defence. Pedro stayed nice and wide. Here, Luis picks out a really nice long pass into his feet. Now by the time he drives inside, looking to attack Man City, look at the defensive structure which they've got. In the second minute of the game, they've got 9 players creating a block just in front of their penalty area. As there's no way through, they try to chip over the top, which came to nothing. Okay, so just after the first goal, here Chelsea make a back pass into Kepa. When you're losing 1-0 away from home, you need players who are confident on the ball. Here Luis calls for the ball, but Kepa, instead of taking a touch and giving it to him free in space, he just plays a long ball over the top, which they lose possession from. Okay, so with that back pass there, really simple to play the ball into here. Instead he plays a long ball, and look, Luis has got his arms up in the air saying, "What are you doing? Just give me the ball here and we can go and attack." Kepa, nervous. Here I'm just highlighting the Man City defensive structure again. Really tight and compact, plenty of bodies back. This is a brilliant ball from Luis, who finds Hazard in space inside. Like Aguero does on the opposite team, a ball into here, he's able to turn and attack. Brilliant ball, and now Hazard can drive forward. And in recent weeks, this attack hasn't really been possible because Hazard was on his own. Here, I've highlighted Higuaín and Pedro. They're able to get forward and drag the Man City defence backwards. Without those 2 players ahead of him, those Man City players can come towards him and prevent him from advancing on the pitch. Okay, he does really well to suck in 4 Man City players. However, in this moment, he just needed a little pass into Higuaín and they could have got back into the game. Okay, so this moment here, if you imagine that the ball had come into Higuaín, you'd probably be quite confident of him hitting the target here. Okay, more examples of the Man City defence. 4-0 up, and look at how many bodies they've got in there defending. Chelsea really had no chance. With 10 players back, it's really difficult to try and play through central areas. Again, look at the amount of Chelsea. Again, look at the amount of Man City players back creating a defensive block just in front of the penalty area. So when the ball does come wide and they're able to get a cross in, we've got 3 Chelsea players getting into the box. In recent weeks, that's maybe been 1 or 0. Here they've got 3 players coming in, but look at the amount of Man City players there. 7 players in and around the penalty area, trying to prevent those 3 from scoring. Difficult circumstances for Chelsea. Okay, so the first goal of the game, unbelievable to be honest. Here I highlight Bernardo Silva and Alonso. Alonso is telling his teammates that Bernardo Silva is a danger man, needs to be picked up. I don't know who he's talking to, but no one listens, and he just turns and leaves this position. There needs to be far better communication than this. Okay, so by the time the ball's played into Bernardo Silva through this gap, Look at the body position from Alonso. He's turned away and he's going to the other side of the pitch. So Bernardo Silva is able to come forward into this position here and play a dangerous ball across the box, where Sterling arrives late and scores the first goal. You can't switch off like this against any team, never mind Man City away from home. The second goal is a problem with pressing from Chelsea. Here Fernandinho plays the ball into Stones, and Stones is just going to give it back into him, who's going to find space just behind Higuain. Okay, so Barkley's trying to prevent the pass coming forward, and Higuain should really be blocking the pass into Fernandinho. He doesn't do a very good job, and Fernandinho is able to now bring the ball forward inside the Chelsea block. So that's quite a tight block. But now I'm just going to highlight Sergio Aguero, who's going to come from an offside position and move inside that block to receive a pass. Okay, so he's come into that area here, receives the pass, and he's just going to play a little ball into Sterling. Here I'm just highlighting Jorginho. When the ball comes into Aguero, he needs to be strong, he needs to be aggressive. You cannot let Aguero win the ball there in front of your own penalty area. Okay, so really weak. He gets the wrong side now of Aguero, and Aguero gets an unbelievable goal. But it wouldn't have happened if they had a defensive midfielder who was more aggressive with the tackling. Okay, so he takes that shot, and look at where Jorginho is. Rudiger has to come out and can't block it either. Fantastic goal, unexpected, but like I said, it wouldn't have happened if you've got a defensive midfielder who's a lot more aggressive in front of the penalty area. Third goal, another set piece. Here they're just going to play a chip ball over the top. Now when the ball is headed down, put your foot through the ball and put it into the crowd. Set yourselves again for the throw-in and then try and make a counter-attack. For someone with so much experience, it's quite surprising where this clearance went from Higuain. Okay, so I'll just highlight where the ball bounces. So the clearance has barely gone 5 metres outside the penalty area, which means that Man City can now circulate the ball again and put a cross in again. Again, too easy. The fullback's able to come inside and play another ball into the box. When Luis heads it out, Barkley is out quite unfortunately. I think he's trying to head it back to his goalkeeper, but Sergio Aguero is in a good position here and the ball bounces to him in front of the 6-yard box. And unfortunately for Chelsea, that makes it 3-0 within the first 20 minutes. Final goal, throw-in, comes back to the centre-back and they play it into the full-back here in the middle of the pitch. Look how much space he's got when he receives the ball. He must have about 15 to 20 metres of space there. And this will be disappointing from Chelsea's perspective. I'm just going to highlight these 4 players here. There's a player in the middle of the 4 players who's about to receive the ball. He's got enough time to control the ball and turn and give the ball to Aguero. Aguero then just gives it back to the player who's made the pass forwards. When this ball arrives, it comes to the centre-back, and look, exactly the same 4 players. This time Aguero's picked up that space. Ball comes into him and he's able to play the ball wide into Sterling. Okay, so when he gives the ball wide, Aguero's now going to aim to get himself to the penalty spot, and look how much space he manages to pick up. Okay, so by the time Sterling crosses the ball in, look at the amount of space which Sergio Aguero has got inside the penalty area. He's got about 5 yards of space in front and behind him. Tries to get shot away but can't, and it comes out to Gundogan, and he manages to finish to make it 4-0 within 25 minutes. And to be fair to Chelsea, another great goal. 2 set-piece mistakes and 2 unbelievable finishes in the first 25 minutes. Makes it 4-0, and to be honest, with the way they defended and the way that they pressed, they deserved to be losing, but I think 4-0 was a little bit harsh on them.